Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Nosa Capital, coming to you on a rather cool afternoon from the Southern Hemisphere. Interesting times ahead, ladies and gentlemen. But there are also interesting times behind us. And this last week has been extremely interesting, not just on the crypto markets, but also on the stock markets. But as always, we are here to discuss rough and ready crypto analysis. And as always, we start with Bitcoin. So let's just get started. Let's not waste any time. Oh, and please forgive me for if I sound a bit nasal to you. I've got a bit of a cold and it's been around for a while, so I'm not completely shaking it, but that's what we can do. Okay, so as always, looking at the chart of Bitcoin on the daily, we can see here that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas of all areas of demand. No areas of supply, which doesn't necessarily surprise me. However, in this area here, now you may recall, let me start this way. You may recall that in one of the videos I did specifically about Bitcoin, I posted Bitcoin at 113. It got about 112 and then came back. I also posited, I think in that same video or another one, I can't quite remember now, that Bitcoin may also fall to about $100,000 because of the areas of liquidation. So let me show you what I mean. If you come here, you can see all these lines are areas of liquidation, and the circles that you see are all clusters of people taking positions. Now, if you look at this area here, we're looking at about 102,000, and then there's something down here at about 100,000. And then we've got something here at about 99,000, and then we've got here, which is about 98,000. Now, all these areas are areas of liquidation, which means if they're big enough clusters, the market makers might decide to hunt. Now, I've said this before, but if you look at these circles, the bigger they are, the bigger the cluster. So you can see these ones here, they're all bigger, right? And then there's a smaller, medium size to small to medium size one, and these are quite small. Now, the different colors tell you the amounts. So for instance, here we've got, this is 25, this is 50, and this is 100 times leverage, the yellow ones. These orange ones here are also 100 times leverage. Okay, these red ones here are 25 times leverage. That is for those who have gone long. Whereas up here, these are the people that have gone short. So, but don't worry about the colors. Let's just stick to, I think we can do a video about that. Let's just stick to the areas. Now, because they are on a lower time frame, these are the 4-hour time frame, as you can see here. The 4-hour time frame exposes the positions that different traders have taken. Now, if you go onto the daily, if we just look at the daily briefly, you will see that most of this, as you can see now, you can see a lot of it has disappeared. In fact, there are almost no, apart from this position here, which is about 102, there's almost nothing going on in that department. So, you say, where's all the liquidation gone? That's because when you go into a lower time frame, there are more people that just take positions there and then come off, take a position, and they don't, it's just like something that some force move or some market makers playing games. You might get that. So that is why you don't see as many liquidation positions on the lower time frames. But here, if we stick to this one, to the 1 day, we've got one out of 102. So if we go back to this in here, we find that there's an area of demand here, which means that if we check, we're looking at between 100 and 105. Now remember what I showed you on this chart here at the 4-hour. I showed the positions at 102 and at 100 or even 99. What I'm trying to point out is, do not be surprised to find that the price here comes all the way down to about $100,000. It might not come down to, or maybe, we've seen long candles, some kind of godlike candles that could come down to about 98, take out all the positions in all those long positions that people have taken, and then go back up. It's perfectly possible. So do not rule that out, that it could happen. Do not be surprised if we suddenly find this price just drop. Let's go back to our 4-hour. Let's go to our 4-hour chart, shall we? Do not be surprised The market makers, you've seen it before. All of you are familiar with this stuff. You've seen this happen before, and you're probably going to see it again. Do not be surprised if we find the price coming all the way down to about 98, taking all these positions out. These are positions that are still open, and then going back up. I have posited at about 113, and I still believe that. I still believe we've got something at 114. Look at this, they're fairly sizable. They're not fantastic, but if there's enough cluster there, and you can see there are two clusters at these different leverages. If the market makers decide it's important, they will come and take them out. And we've been saying this now for a few months. The only trade you've got is to trade the liquidity. You got to trade that liquidity, that leverage. You got to trade it, and that's the only thing. That's the only trade you got, because we've all seen the levels of volatility where having a good trade is almost impossible. Many people, you've seen it. I'm sure you've seen it, where even the pundits are all complaining that they can't really get any decent trade, because one moment you're looking at something going on, the next moment it's moved and it's back, and you can't really determine the actual direction, of that particular instrument. As far as Bitcoin is concerned, I still believe that $125,000 is on the cards. When it's going to get there, I do not know. Like I said in my previous video, once we break 113, 114, after that, ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't really tell. I do not like positing particular trends or prices that I cannot really say, okay, we're going here. There are sometimes I can, but most of the times I can't, and so I do not make those type of comments. I always tell you, this is what I'm thinking, this is where it's going, but after this point, remember what I said when it was at 73? And I said at most 75, 76. After that, I couldn't tell you. And look at what happened. We all remember. So the same is going on here. 113, 114. But after that, ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't really tell you. Overall, it's still quite bullish. One should remain bullish on Bitcoin. No question about that. I think that if the price falls down to about 100,000, 99,000, I think it's an opportunity for those who are still trying to accumulate to get something, no matter how small. Just get something, beef up your bag, and ride that wave to about 124, 125, and who knows, maybe 150 by some pundits. I wouldn't posit that. The one thing I've posited and I've stood by it is the 124, 125, and that's where I sit. So that's my 2 cents on that. Let's move on to the next one. Let's look at Binance. And this has just been one hell of a sideways trade, as you can see. It's just been going sideways. Just ugly. Just ugly. But Binance is still important enough to talk about because of its role it plays in the leverage angles of Bitcoin. Who knows, it might be something that would turn out to be quite useful for the holders over time. I'm not quite sure, but we'll see. We've got 1, 2, 3, and then we've got an area of supply here. Don't expect anything dramatic to happen until we break the area of supply. If we can break about, let's say this area here. Let's use this. So we're looking at about 732. Then yes, I think then Binance will be back. But until that time, we're going to get this ugliness that you can see here. So I think that's just about enough of that we're going to say about Binance. Let's move on. Okay, Ethereum. Now, Ethereum, as we've all been seeing, has been lower highs and lower lows, and now suddenly it's kind of woken up. Apparently, there were some complaints about the recent Pectra upgrade of certain things that it cannot do. I must admit, let me admit to you, and I admit and I submit to you that I cannot, I haven't followed the Pectra upgrade as closely as I should, because some of the things that Vitalik Buterin has actually said, I must admit, brings absolutely no interest to me, because he's talking about 2030, 2031. I mean, it's just ridiculous. 2030, 2031 from 2025 in the world of crypto, that's like a million years. Who knows? Maybe even Bitcoin might not even be the currency of choice, the cryptocurrency of choice come 2030. We don't know. As we've seen, a series of lower highs and lower lows as always. Now we're trading sideways, and we've got 1, 2, 3 major areas of supply. It's come up here. I thought it might break. If it breaks this, we're going to about there, which is about 3,200. Don't be surprised if you get 3,200. It's not impossible. I don't think the price is going to go below the current point of control. I doubt that very much. But then again, remember, this area here, sparse volume, I've always told you things can easily fall. But I think this might be an area where we have support. And also, this area, if you look very closely, it's also an area of demand. Overall, there's a bullish tendencies within Ethereum. Let's just confirm that using our Ichimoku as we normally do. And as I was right, that's your cloud there. The cloud is an inclined angle. Tenkan-sen is above the Kijun-sen. Chiku span is running free, albeit very close to the price action, but it's still running free. It's not hindered by anything. And overall, this is definitely bullish. And we just have to wait and see if we break this area. But if we break this area here, if we break 2,860, you can be assured that 3,200 is on the cards. If you're speculating, you could decide to buy maybe at this price, the Kijun-sen price, about 2,288, and ride it to 3,200. Just an idea, not financial advice, of course, but just an idea where you could actually do some speculation and make some money for yourself. Or hell, looking at this chart, you could buy some Ethereum futures or some Ethereum perpetual and just trade it there. But anyway. Okay, let's move on to Solana now. This one, with all the activity going on within Solana, it is surprising to see how poorly the price has been doing. We know it's bullish, but before I look at that, we've got 1, 2 areas of demand. And we've got 1, 2, 3 areas of supply. So far, so good. Ethereum is still under 2. As I said before, Ethereum under 200 is still a good buy. Again, no financial advice, of course. But for those of you, you could buy. I mean, I've used, I said it before. I wish I had. What I should have done was showing you those trades. But I've used these areas of demand to make major purchases for my personal bag and, of course, the company bag. So I think there's an opportunity. I mean, if the price of Solana comes all the way down to about, let's see what that is, to about 140, I think that might be a good buy. Might be a reasonable buy. You'll be lucky if you get something at the point of control, which is about 128. So you'll be very lucky if it comes back. And if it does come back to that area, I see no reason why you don't buy and build up your bag. Because almost every bit of activity right now is going on within Solana. Some of the highest TVL, the highest revenue generated, one of the fastest chains. I mean, everybody's building on Solana. I mean, you've read about all these different, even Doge is moving to Solana. So, I mean, this should tell you that that's where the action is. Now, I suspect that this price, market makers and other powerful institutional bodies that's kind of suppressing its price, because really, if you think about it, there is no reason why Solana shouldn't be about $300. No reason. Right up there. I mean, it should be about $300 or even more. I'm not surprised about this, the way the price is, because remember, there are many looking forward to the Solana upcoming ETF. Excuse me. I think that would come in at the end of the year. I suspect that we would have an ETF, a Solana ETF at the end of the year. I'm not one for speculating at what time these things will arrive. Also, Do not be surprised it started. I don't think it has enough publicity as much as I think it should. But do not be surprised to find that more and more companies that cannot get into Bitcoin will now buy the next big thing, which is Solana, and start using Solana as a strategic reserve. Just as we've got the strategic Bitcoin reserve, the SBR, don't be surprised if you get an SSR, which is a strategic Solana reserve. Do not be surprised. It's already started. Remember the company Huddle? They've started it. There are several others that have joined. I can't quite remember the name of one of the companies, but if you follow me on Flipboard, you'll be able to see I put up a lot of stories there. I think I should talk about that. I think I should put that on the cards sometime in the future so that you guys can actually go to this magazine, Flipboard magazine, which I call the Blockchainology, so you're able to follow. So this is definitely bullish, but let's just, for standards, just to show those who might be skeptical, let's go to the Ichimoku. Let's just put that on for you. And as you can see, definitely bullish, all above the cloud, 10% above the Kijun-sen. Now, the price is coming back. Do not be surprised if the price comes back into the cloud here for buying opportunities. And of course, the Chiku spread is just almost getting caught up, but it's still running free to a very tiny extent. So do not be surprised that that might happen. But as I said to you before, and I'll say to you again, I think the price is being suppressed. That's all we really need to say about Solana, because Solana should be much, much, much higher. Okay, so let's move on to the next, which is Sui. Sui is another good one. This one, now, this is the danger. Now, look at this area here. There might be a danger of it falling, because it could fall very quickly towards the point of control, which is about $2.25. There's that danger of happening. Now we've got 1, 2, 3 areas of demand. For areas of demand right down at about 50 cents. The chances of Sui coming down to 50 cents are almost close to zero. But hey, this is crypto. You never know. We've got 2 areas of supply up here. Now these areas are not too thick, and the volume profile is fairly reasonable up here. But with enough momentum, it could easily break through. These are not too big. It could easily break through and go back to about $5.40, something like that. But we should just have to wait and see. I mean, let's just put our Ichimoku on it. Let's see what it looks like. And look at that. You see the Chiku span has been caught up within the price. It's been caught up underneath. So you know what I say, it now starts acting as resistance. Kijun-sen is above the Tenkan-sen, and the price is just inside the cloud, just on top of the cloud. Very weakly bullish. At the moment, anything price-wise, anything under, at the moment, at about 350 cents or $3.50 might be a good buy. If you can get it under $3, I won't be surprised if it falls under $3 because of this area here, or as my friend will call it, the ice cream scoop. If it gets anything under here, then it'll be a very good buy. I think Sui is one of those cryptocurrencies of the future. I will not be surprised if it has its own ETF in the future. I will also not be surprised if it becomes another one of those cryptocurrencies where it has its own strategic reserve, where some people believe in it and start a strategic reserve for this particular cryptocurrency. Okay, so let's move on to the fun stuff. Let's go to Moodeng. Okay, now Moodeng is now bullish, of course. We're not going to bullet by ourselves putting on an Ichimoku on this one. We already know that. It's got a very, very fat area of supply. And if you recall, I told people to buy at some of these lower areas here and sell at some of these areas of supply. I think some people have already done that, as you can see here. It's gone down again, it's come back, and it's coming down again. Now, for those of you who bought at a much later time. I've always said it then, I'll say it again. You have to be very, very, very patient. I think you can make cryptocurrencies, you can make money, I beg your pardon, from these cryptos that have no utility. Moodeng has no utility whatsoever. And personally, I don't have any, I don't buy. But as I said, I do this as a favor to some friends who like to see me talk about it regularly. I've said it then, I'm just going to repeat myself, infinite patience. And as soon as you hit your target of getting your money out, I think you should just get out and just walk away. And if you're going to play on this kind of things, just play with money you can afford to lose, please. Don't make this stupid bets, because most of these currencies, the insiders have already made their money and they've left you holding the bag. That's what tends to happen. So please be careful. Please. Okay, let's look at WIF. WIF is another one of those that you need some infinite patience. WIF came up. I thought WIF might gather enough momentum to hit something around $1.75. It's going down again. I wouldn't be surprised if this is barely or weekly bullish. Let's throw on the Ichimoku here. Let's see. Let's just throw that on. And what did I tell you? Weekly bullish, although it's still bullish, but you can see things are. Look at that. Chiku span above the crowd. Tenkan-sen still just above the Kijun-sen. The price action is barely just above the cloud there. Weekly bullish. I think the best of WIF has been enjoyed, particularly the insiders. Now, this is something that I didn't think of until just now. Remember that WIF started through the Solana phone. I know that Solana is coming up with the new phone. I won't be surprised that if you buy that phone, you're going to get a shit ton of WIF on your phone and some other meme coin. So watch out for that. So it might just revive this. I think for those of you who have some, once it breaks through, if you can hit about $1.75, something like that, and it can break that area of $2.24, then once you've got back to your break even and you made some profit, I think you can come out of it. Except you want to hold it forever. Where is it? From there, let's see if we can. We go here to here at the moment. It's down by about 83.83%. It's got a long way to go for you to get back to break even and make your profits. But we shall see over time. Finally, let's go to Pi Network. Finally, we've got enough data to get to use the daily. Remember, we've been using the 4 hourly. Now we can use the daily. I posited it was not going to go below 60. It hit 40. It was one of those things that it hit 60, came all the way down and went back up. And currently it's at about 63. Is it 62 or 60? 63, yeah, almost 64. Still reasonable, a very small area of supply which you can easily breeze through. If it breaks through here again, I suspect that if we have the price break through here, that is, let's show you. If we break through there, 119 or $1.19, it can easily go back to this all-time high, very easily, because look at the volume profile. It's very thin. All the activity volume profile wise is here, this area here. If it breaks this, line here, which is 119, we're going back up. And if you're somebody who doesn't believe in the project long term, you can easily just walk away, make your break even, get your profits, and just walk out. All-time high. Let's see what it is to now. So it's down 81.62%. It's still got a long way to go. I don't think people are crying too much, particularly those who've been mining this stuff. But we'll wait and see all the developments within the ecosystem. So I've always told you that you must be very careful when it comes to some of these strange coins. Know what you're doing. Make your profits as quickly as possible and get out. Don't be left holding the bag. For heaven's sake, don't be left holding the bag. You've got to, again, you've got to start paying attention. I think one of the things that I personally would need to do is begin to look at some of the on-chain data and bring some of that data to you to tell you what it means. I think it's time. I've been avoiding that, but I think it's got to that stage now. And hopefully in the very, very near future, I'll be able to tell you something about that. I'll be able to bring you something, be able to give you some good video about that. Anyway, that's me. As always, keep your eyes and ears open and your trading sharp. Have a good one. Bye.